To the side. Okay, so I wasn't streaming on Monday because I'm not 100% fit. Still a little bit sick, have some headache, but I want to do the stream today to get something forward. And also I was a little bit busy last weekend and during the week when I had a little bit time to do stuff. And I worked on a few new parts of the website. So not sure where we stopped last time, but now there's probably coming error message because I also wrote a script to gather the percentage, and one of the networks doesn't work properly. So there's the thing. So what I did since last time, let's see. That's all the same. Oh yeah, here's the sidebar, but we're going to into that afterwards. So there's the animation part of the current status. That's also in here. So what I did is there's the function called there's the function that's in inViewport, and that's basically thanks to Raka from Stack Overflow, because it's basically just a copy and paste thing what he wrote, but it basically works like that. Every time you scroll, it launches the setActiveClass function, and the ActiveClass function goes through all the arrays, all the sections, and tells me if that section is in the viewport. The viewport is this area here. Let's see. from that corner till that corner. So it's always just what you see in the browser. And that function here, that basically calculates or tells me back, is the each section has this container in there, and that one tells me if that section is in the viewport. You can, if you have small portions in there, you can also use or just basically cycle through the sections itself, but that's that depends on how you want to use it, because I want to use it to start the animation in there and then also reset it if you leave the section. And if you tell the whole section in there, then it's the complete container that could be longer than the viewport. So what I did there is the first section is obviously by default in the viewport, but it's going to lose that thing. And then I'm gonna check each of the sections if it's in the viewport or not. Also, having this here a separate container gives me another advantage, because I can place that box inside of the section at a different point to have a better control when the class should get added. And all that does is if the viewport container here in one of these sections is in the viewport, then go above one parent, then you would be here, one more, then you would be here, and then you add the class inViewport. So if I scroll through that here, I'm gonna close everything here down so you can see it. So not sure if I can increase the font size here. Oh yeah, okay, nice. So basically, if I scroll through the page here, oh, and maybe I should also make this one here bigger so people can actually read it. And so basically, as soon as I start scrolling here in the background, oops, let's go here. As soon as I scroll, you can see that this here is in the viewport, and I also add the class viewport once, in case I want to control any animation that should start only once and not get removed if that element isn't in the viewport anymore. But if I go down, then now it's in the viewport, and in the third viewport. If I go back, so it should. Oh yeah, it's still in the viewport once, but it removes the viewport and then it comes in viewport next. And what that what the possibility there is, I can start controlling things and animate their appearance by having the inViewport. So for example, this element here, it disappears once I scroll down, or if I click down it, then it scrolls down below. And how I do that is, if the element is in the viewport, then the width is 240 pixels. And if it's not in the viewport anymore, then the width is just 0. And since there's everything overflow hidden, it will just cut that off and move it to the side. And that's basically what we see here now. And you can apply that logic to quite a lot of other things. So as soon as this element here is in the viewport, we can take a look here. There's the distribution item. I think quite a lot of things that's gonna happen during today's stream is explaining the stuff I did during the last week or so, because there was quite a lot that got added or changed, and then at the end we are going to focus on the last remaining section on the home screen. the last big section on the home screen. But there's also some preparations already in place. And yeah, so basically how this works here is as soon as this container here is in the viewport, then the element gets transformed. So with transform translate, you can move elements around. So X is horizontally, Y I think is vertically, and Z would be in the depth. But what I do have here is all the ones to the left are moved by 100 pixels to the left, and the other ones who are on the right side, these ones here, they are moved 100 pixels to the right as well. Or no, I think they are all, these are moved to the left, and these are get moved to the right. Yes, yeah, sure. And then they also have the opacity 0 and the width of 0. So they are basically just containers that have a height, 0 width, so they are cut it off with everything, and well, basically just the background is cut it off, and the opacity is also 0, so they are not this visible yet, and they move to the side. And once the parent container gets the class inViewport, then I transform that back to 0, so they are where I originally placed them. The opacity is 1, and I also added the width, the default width I wanted to for that. And I can override that later on with responsive styles, or, and that's the really good part, if I would have done all these animations in JavaScript, then to make different animations on different resolutions or on mobile phones is kind of a hassle, because you would have to find out what's the current viewport, and depending on the viewport you load different scripts and stuff like that. In this case here, I just have my responsive styles with the media query, and that's basically I can override any animation or simply deactivate it also. Okay, here I'm forcing the overridden that the opacity of Celo and Ethereum just go to 25, since the token is not deployed there yet. And I also start animation at a different time, so there's some delay in there, and that results in that Arbitrum and BNB chain gets viewed first. This one here on top and this one here below. Then next this one here and this one here, and then this one here and this one here, and then this one here and this one here. So they are kind of a little bit off to the side. And the same thing also happens to the to that center circle, which is here. And same logic, by default, the transform the scale function, so you can scale it also with the transform element. By default, it's 75% of the original scale, and once it's in the viewport, it should scale to 1. And to not have it like pop off right away, I use the transition for the transform, and in half a second it moves from 75% to 100%, and that looks basically like this. So you can see, if I move down here, that the circle is growing, and also these elements, they do pop up here. And then there's also another thing here, the percentage bar, there's the width in here, that gets back from the script. That's the actual percentage the token is currently on that specific chain. And there I do have, so basically the diff container inside the percentage bar is 0. Let's get that back. was that. There's the percentage bar diff. That's just giving everything a different color. Ah, okay, because I would like to use that. So here, by default, the width is 0, and I think there's some inViewport too. Yeah, and basically the bar has always the exact percentage because it's inline CSS. I'll just parse that from the. I don't even think I'm parsing that. I think is that? No, that's. I think that's hardcoded, isn't it? There's the percentage bar, and there's the, oh yeah, so basically there's the big array where the token distribution with the fractions and everything is in there, and also the token distribution percentage as inline CSS. And you could write something that the width is 0%, and then it animates to whatever you have in there, but overriding inline CSS is not really good because it's one of the highest ranking CSS things. So only if you use the important stuff, the important attribute, you add important to the attribute in there, you can override that, but that you shouldn't do that. So what I did here instead is the bar has the exact percentage by default, but if it's not in the viewport, it's scaled horizontally to 0, and if it's in the viewport, it scales back to 100, and that sort of mimics that growing percentage bar thing. And you can set the point where it should scale from. That's the transform origin, and that's by default left and top, so here. And since all the bars start from the left and top, that's basically the same. I was thinking about having these one here also to the right, but to be honest, I don't really think it looks that good. I mean, I can put it in here so you can also see it. That's left auto. So it would look like this. And I think it looks better on the other side because you can figure out more that it's the percentage bar. I mean, it might change a little bit once the token distributes itself a little bit more across other chains, but that's going to take quite some time, and that's why I'm leaving it like that. Okay, so and then the next thing that got built was the get a fraction section. And that one here also appears during scrolling. There's also some delay that first the swap box shows up and then the faucet, so that there's a clear distinction that these are two different options. And also if they would appear both at the same time, and I had that, I can actually show you how that would look like. Let's see here. So let's put that to 0 seconds, and then you can see how that will look like. because then these both boxes will move in at the same time. But I think since that's quite some text to read and to process, it's better to give the SwapBox more time to show up, and also then I'm able to since that box has more time to get created or to show up, I can also show each word by word, because the first time I wanted to build here basically the same as Transfer 2 has, or what we are used from Uniswap, that you basically have 4 input fields, and you say I want to exchange whatever here, and then there's something else, or make it more like Transfer 2. Oh, why isn't that? Is Transfer 2 down? Well, that's not good. Now let's go to Superfluid dashboard. Because so basically you have the same, you select what you want on which chain and to which chain and whatever you have in here. But since that should always be for fraction, you can't select this one here. And so basically that's here. It's just a sentence, and you have to put the sentence in there you want to, that represents what you want to have. So if you want to have ETH, or if you have USDC on Ethereum or on Polygon, then you can, I want to exchange USDC on Polygon for fractional Gnosis chain, and that will take you to transfer2.xyz. And if you can see the URL down here below, that's exactly the same as you can see in the browser then here. And that takes you to Transfer 2. Unfortunately, they seem to be down. That's interesting. Let's take a look with another browser, and if that's also not working, then maybe we should ping them. Okay, but I can show it to you another way, because since transfer2.xyz doesn't support Wallet Connect yet, but the Superfluid dashboard does, and they are using the Li-Fi widget or the Li-Fi SDK, I can flip here. Oops, why, that's interesting. Why is that flipping down here? Oh, I know, because I have the swap button and I added some letter spacing to another thing. Hold on, let me fix that quick. Letter spacing. The wrong one. See, there I added the letter spacing for something else, and that also affected the swap button. So we're going to put that in here and say, let's see if 2 is sufficient. In the worst case, we just have to put it down to 0. Oh, 2 is it's enough, but safety first, we're going to 1.841. That should be good for too. So we have here transfer 2, and if I say I only want to swap super tokens, then it switches here all the tokens to super tokens. So ETH to ETHX, DAI for DAIX, XDAIX, Matic X, BNB X, AVAX, USDC X. And MIVA and Fraction, of course, stay the same because they are native super tokens. There's no streaming token for that. And also, if you want to exchange something else, I mean, obviously I don't want to have the whole fucking list in there. That would be quite an overkill. Also, I would have to maintain some token list in here. There's the option to select some other token. Why? There it is. So then I want to exchange some token on Ethereum on Avalanche for a fraction on Optimism. Let's transfer 2, but if I here go to the Superfluid bridge, then it should leave that here unfilled because I selected some other token. But if I use USDC and I open that up, then it fills it out right away. And this fill out process, that basically just happens by these URL parameters here. The Superfluid documentation. There's a documentation how the URL parameters should look like. And I took it from there. Also, if you have Wallet Connect, then if you need Wallet Connect, then it basically disables the option to use transfer 2, but that you can flip back and forth. And if you select fraction, then it always redirects you to the Connect bridge, because that's the best way to move fraction directly between chains, because it would anyways just go between chains. Let's see, is that one of ours? Let's hope not. DB. No, none of us. Okay, yeah, so that got built. There's that selector. It's basically just a container with another container in there, and if it's inactive, then that child element has no background, or not, it has a black background and is left 5 pixels, and if that is off, then if that's not in there, then the background is white and it's left 20 pixels. That's the whole deal. And to this flipping thing, that happens via basic jQuery. That's here. Where do we have that? Okay, let's see, that was the toggle icon. So here, if I click on that and it has the class inactive, then you remove the class, and if not, we add the class inactive, and that makes it click happen, not to move it back and forth. And here's the that's the function, the generate redirection URL. That's basically the function that generates that link here below, and that's the link that gets placed inside this A tag here. That's the where you link it. So it's the same when you click on it. And how that works is you basically there's the function generate. That's a little bit of a clusterfuck. So here's the generate redirection URL, and it takes the token from. So whatever is got selected in here, there's actually when you can see that here, then that's the token from field. And if you click on it, then it automatically shows the selected wrapper. And if I click here on something like BNB, you can see that it changes here fraction, the ID fraction to whatever I selected here. So it moves in here. And the token from is, oh, where do I have that? And that's nothing I really pass on here, because I usually thought I would do, but then I moved away from that. But basically I'm giving that function the token from, the chain I want to go from, the chain to, and if it has wallet connect, or if it's if whatever the toggles are set to. And then I'll basically grab the IDs and everything. And if the Gnosis, if the chain from is Gnosis chain, then I set the chain ID, because I need that for the URL on the superfluid bridge and for the transfer to, because they use from chain. And the bridge basically just writes it out. The connects bridge. There's the name of the chain stands in the URL. Unfortunately, if you select different tokens there, I think if it's not set, then it writes some weird address on top. But remember that there were at some point some weird address here on top. But if you pass the contract on, then it doesn't work. So that's a little bit interesting, because I had to find the exact token contracts, the official ones, and that worked out not that bad. But some tokens aren't available on all chains. So for example, on Avalanche you don't have the BNB, that hasn't been bridged there yet. Or on Binance you don't have Matic or AVAX or something else. And I'm not sure yet what the token contract should be if you have the native token, because I don't think that ETH on Ethereum has a token contract address, as far as I know. So I need to figure that out then soon too. But basically, depending on the selected chain, it looks up which token contract is the right one for the token, the from token I selected, and then I mix together the address, the link, and then I'll just return that link. I set it in the swap button href attribute, so it's actually the link to that address, and I also place the exact same in the redirection URL, and that's the one you can see if you hover that field. Then why? What is happening here? So then that's what's done here. There are one or two errors still. So for example, there's no check if that one is really empty, and that should affect the link that gets generated, so it doesn't have the from token the from token option here. But that's just few one if else, but that needs to be done. And there's also I think one issue where it's empty. I think I remember. So yeah, so right now by default it's still empty because I haven't yet decided with what it should start. If it should be ETH on Ethereum for fraction, or if it should be something else on something else. And depending on that, I'll place the default address here. And there's one other thing that's still missing, and that's basically you can't choose fraction on Ethereum at the moment, or all these tokens where I already know now that they don't exist on the chain. For example, AVAX on Binance, you could choose here AVAX on BNB chain, maybe even say that it's super tokens, but there's no AVAX X on BNB chain. So if you would go here, it would stay empty. And I think it's okay so far, because you wouldn't ever choose AVAX X on BNB chain because you don't have that. You can't have it because it doesn't exist, so nobody will actually really choose that. And since, as long as it doesn't provoke any error messages or something, I think I'm actually fine with that. And later on, if somebody deploys it, then I just enter the contract in here, and it works fine then. So that's what I think I'm gonna leave here right now. Then here's the faucet. These titles here, they circle also through as a CSS animation, and there's a small how to do that. The QR code that links right now to this address here, but I have to figure out. So the faucet is only deployed on Gnosis chain, on Polygon so far, and once the faucet has been deployed on all chains, I know if the faucet can have the same address on all networks, so I can just map faucet.fraction.token.eth to that address, and I'm fine. Or if I would have to make sub-network entries, or have a gnosis.faucet.fraction.eth, and then circle this one here through as well, or maybe move the QR code bit on top and have here a network selector, so you can choose which one you actually want to. Yeah. So that's also on the to-do list. Yeah, so that's the SwapBox and the faucet. Then there's this small separator. I can reuse that however I want. It's also a little bit of a legacy thingy, because the animation you can see here and the SVG itself, it's the original fraction token logo animation, and it has the V1 in there. And the funny part is, since that one is a square one, you can only see the elements, but if I make that smaller, you can see that it's actually the old token logo that even has here down below the token contract written in the SVG, which is a small insider thing. That here is the distribution on launch, and by the project, that's the last big section of the home screen that's left. I'm gonna get to that at the end, because that's what I'm going to work on tonight. But as you can see, there's already some preparations in here, and I also worked a little bit on the logic, how it should look like, but I will get into that later on. Then there's the Shoutout section where I can show logos and some partnerships and collaborations and where the token is listed at and everything else. And at the beginning, I was just thinking about these standard logo bars that went horizontally, but I personally never really liked those too much because it always puts one or two logos somewhere behind, and even the first one isn't the one you actually see the most, it's the one in the middle. So I'll just do it with calls. So the first one is obviously the partnerships, the most important one. Then the collaborations, also with the bigger logos and the name down here. Then where it's listed at. And then I also put these two in here because the streaming farms, without the streaming farms, the liquidity wouldn't be as good as it is now. That's something clear, and that's also the place where I can show that there are super fluid sentinels running on all networks so far. Okay, then the next thing, the next section I built was the NFTs section in here. Again, the title and some description in here. Here there's going to be a scroll down to the DAO section then later on. And the NFTs, they basically work like this. There are 25 NFTs in here. Also, basically, first first I explain how the NFTs work. So these NFTs, they have been created on OpenSea quite some time ago for the Polygon token expansion, and now I'm gonna use that for general multi-chain liquidity allocation. And the idea is that also, since there's already one got sold, the number one, and it was for half an ETH, that was the original ask price here. The next one is at 1 ETH, and the next one at 1.5, and the next one is 2, and then 2.5, and so on, and so on, and so on. And each NFT, when it got sold, there's going to be a snapshot DAO proposal asking where to put it and on which chain, also which chain and which DEX. And also, once the pool of the multi-chain expansion pool, which was originally 12.5% of the token, once that's empty, I think there's now 4% left or so. Once that's empty, then part of the proposal will also be where to buy fraction with it. So if there's no liquidity left, there's nothing left by the project of the token by the project to put in a liquidity pool, then if an NFT gets sold, then part of that revenue will be used to buy the token on a DEX and then put it together with the remaining ETH that got left into that liquidity pool. That results in price increases and more liquidity. So I think it's going to be a win-win for all of them. Yes. So unfortunately, these NFTs are currently on OpenSea for Polygon, and since they were originally built for the Polygon token expansion back then, so if we go into fraction, then that was the idea back then, to sell them. Each one is a little bit less depending on the size, and only one got sold. The liquidity got added like as promised, but but they are now on they are Polygon NFTs for OpenSea, and I'm not happy with that. So there are currently two options. One option is, or basically there are three options. Option one, leave it like that, go along with it. Option two is recreate these again, but on OpenSea and on the Ethereum mainnet. And whenever it gets sold, that ETH will then get bridged to that specific chain. And from there on, the liquidity will be provided. That's actually one of the things that I currently tend to, because of the time and everything else. And the best thing would be, because I found another project called NFT Hashi. I'm also on their Discord yet, but they're not very responsive so far. But what they do is, NFT Hashi is, they make NFTs that can get bridged over across any chains, and they also use Connect. So since the token is already using Connect, sorry, I'm still not fully back. So since they also use Connect, since they also use Connect, and the project itself also uses Connect for bridging, there might be a good ground to build it up. Also, I wouldn't be bound by the OpenSea contract, NFT contract, because there the NFT will get minted by OpenSea, by the OpenSea contract. And down the road, I want to have this dashboard. And if you hold one of these NFTs, it should unlock some special features, or if you hold it, then the scavenger hunt, the app automatically knows what to show you. I still could do that with the OpenSea. Just ask if that connected account holds one of these collection NFTs, but I'm not super duper happy with that. So yeah, let's see how it turns out. But I really would like to have these own NFTs, so the project can update the contract at some point, or make changes or something, or be a little bit more flexible. That's a carousel slider. It uses the same library as this one here, only that's in slider function, and that one here is in carousel function. And yeah, basically it's mostly the same layout like before. Made just some minor adjustments. There's now this glowing background that circles through all the network's colors. The make status offer got moved a little bit down here. That button doesn't shift from the left side, because I always thought that's a little bit broken. And the prices got adjusted. And also the one that's currently active is displayed at 100%, and it shows the actual NFT with the animation in there, and all the others are not moving yet. I did that just basically because of performance issues, because if there are 25 NFTs with that animation running, that really slows down, especially on mobile phones. So the current active one 100% and with the animation, second one without animation but at 66%, and then the rest are at 33% opacity. But if you hover it, it goes back to 100 and also switches in the correct animation. And that carousel is flexible, so if I expand that here, you can just basically see more, and it's continuously, so you can drag and drop it as much as you want. Since I dragged it now once, it doesn't move anymore, but if I reload the page and I go down here, then it should move by its own. There's some autoplay functions also in place. Okay, so, and then you can always see the full collection OpenSea or join the DAO, because as I said before, with the income, there will always be a snapshot proposal where the liquidity should get pulled in and how much. Oh, new viewer, if you have any questions, type it in the chat or reach out in any other way if anything is unclear. I'm happy to explain. I just right now I'm just going through everything I did last week when I wasn't streaming, so everything is on the same, everything is on the same page again. But I'm happy to show off the code in the background too, and also explain the logics behind. Then I also made the milestones and roadmap for the main, for the home screen. There will be different milestones for each chain on the separate subpage. And here you can also see, depending on the glowing of the icon, if that task is just bound to one chain or to two or three chains or to all of them. So basically Gnosis chain, it only has the Gnosis chain shadow, the color in the background, the HoneySwap pool as well. Then the first time the faucet got deployed, also on Gnosis chain, but there's later on a task like here, the faucet's on all networks, and it cycles through the correct all the network's logos, colors. So you can see a little bit what happened back then, what's still in the making, what's unclear, and also the percentage, how far ahead that task is. Maybe you can, I'm not sure if you can see that on stream, but they do fade out a little bit, and that's the more percentage they have, the more you can see them. If they have 100%, then it's completely black. If it's below 100%, they have this white background and just the border. And if it's on 0, then the opacity is 50%, and the rest of the percentage is cut in half and added to that. So basically, if you have here 50%, then the opacity would be 75. So 50% plus half of what the actual progress is. Because if I would send it to 0, then you wouldn't see those last two ones, or that one here with 4% wouldn't be visible. Okay. Then we're coming to the last home section. That's the DAO section. It's basically just the snapshot icon, and I animated that a little bit. Wrote a small text, which is not finalized yet, and the join the DAO button to the snapshot DAO, where all these proposals will then take place. Ooh, we have 9 members. Now that's neat. Last time I looked in there, it was only 5. We're growing. We're growing. It's getting traction. Okay, and then there's this very slim footer in here. It just gives you, once again, all the contract addresses, so you can look it up on the specific block explorers. A small disclaimer. Then here you can jump to the specific sections on the home screen, because they explain each part separately. Then contact informations, and also the option to schedule a meeting if you want to talk in person about anything, if you find the project interesting, or if there's some room for collaboration, or you want to build on top of it, or whatever. Then that's where you can set up a meeting. It's currently only set to the days where I'm also streaming, but with some room before and afterwards, so I don't have to be like available all the time. And it's also in here that also got expanded by the Calendly in there. Then of course link to the resources. That's going to get cut down a little bit over the time, but yeah, it's not 100%. I do want to split that up a little bit, remove maybe one or two items and make separation lines. And then here the link to all the subpages, but that's basically all what you would also have in the menu then. All the network specific subpages, the NFT subpage, I'm not so sure if that's going to get scrapped, as well as the faucet, because the NFTs, they do get their part on the home screen and also on the network specific page, although I'm not sure if how that's going to look like in the beginning, because I do want to basically, if someone else buys NFT number 8, then there's the snapshot vote, and people then vote, let's put it into an optimism pool, into the sushi swap pool on optimism. And then I would like to have on the optimism subpage the NFT section in there to say, see, that's one of these sold NFTs, and that got put into that specific networks pool. That's also, I want to update here as well, that if it's sold, it should only glow in the color of the network where the liquidity got put in, because right now everything circles through, and that's going to change as well at some point. Okay, and then contact, I'm not so sure if I really need a contact page. Then again, legal is because I do need, I think, some privacy declaration and some imprint or something. I think I need to put that on there. But it could be that there's no real link in here, so it's basically just one of these texts down here that link to that. Maybe we'll see. And yeah, also the white paper needs to get written, although I'm not so sure if I actually should write that, because I never read one so far, like in total completion. But if that's overviewable of the effort, then I'll do that. Otherwise, there's already I'm thinking about having here a FAQ section in there where the frequently asked questions get answered, and that's basically also what the white paper is for, because I'm not looking for investors or something. Yeah, so that's the new state of the start screen. And yeah, as you can see, quite something happened since the last stream. I was a little bit busy, but then I got sick and had to stop working on it. And yes, so now what I want to do is build this distribution on launch and by the project. That title is obviously going to change, but I think I'm just gonna call it liquidity or something. And the idea here is to have an animated part where you can see how the token split it up by actions done by the project owner, like what I did with the whale account and everything else. And at the end, the current status, what the project owner provided and what the project owner still holds from the token and everything. So basically, this disclaimer. Basically, what's happening here, what this here should show is basically if you look who deployed the token, and that's the I call it the whale account, and if you take that address and look up in the block explorer, you should be able to find out exactly what's happening here. So I'm just working here on the things that you don't have to do detective stuff and figure out which transaction was for what at some point. But it should open up, show you how the token split up for the project itself, but not in total, just the part where I really have control over. And then in the end, give you an overview how much liquidity and what the project still owns, and how much control the project owner still has over the project. And that's going to the thing where we're diving in right now. Oh, and also what I did is maybe you just already recognized it, but I also moved all the content of the sections into separate PHP files, so the home screen is a little bit less hard to work on, because you're always just scrolling over sections you're not actually working on. So there's this here, we have the content liquidity home, and as you can see here, let's close that one here and move that to the side. So that's also what I did in preparation for an array. I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to use that. And so here are all the notes that I did in the last week or so. And I think the best overview is this. Can I have it here? Oh. Put it in the README. Yeah, I'll put it in the README. And the thing is this. So that animation here, it should serve multiple purposes. On the one hand, to see which decisions the project owner made, how which liquidity pools those things got in, so how the token split up from the project side itself, and then in the end give you a quick overview what's the current status of the project from the project owner's side. And if you hover on top of it, it should give you more infos about that specific liquidity pool, and so you can have all the links and all the informations you want to have. So this graphic here, it basically is very close to what the current thing is. There's missing the two symmetric pools, they are still missing, and it's also missing that there will be 8% reserved for the scavenger hunt. That's not in the graphic here, but the rest, that's basically the token distribution. And to make a quick intersection, and the idea is that it starts with the box that represents 100%, and then it splits up, moves to the side, and while it splits up, it sort of shows that I added additional funds and got the LP token back, and the LP token then stays in the whale account, and the whale account in this case is that part that basically just stays like this. And so if I'm going to, let's do it the reverse way, because then I can show it to you how I plan to have it look like. Oops. I mean, that's just really fast. Also, these opening things here, that's not gonna happen if I use the real numbers in there. So basically, that's here. The token starts with a big square. Then this part and this part here, they split off, or basically that one splits off. Then that's the HoneySwap 0.5 or 50% of the token goes into that pool, into the HoneySwap pool with additional 1000 XDAI. Then the next thing moves off. Those are the 12.5% that get filled with 1000 MIVA, I think. And then next thing is that's the reserved for expansion pool, and that also splits off because it got moved into another account. And there, I think at the beginning, so the first thing that happens here is this here splits up, and then this here splits up, and that's the QuickSwap pool I set up when the I think that's the QuickSwap pool. Yeah, that's the QuickSwap pool I set up with the 0.5 ETH from the NFT sale, and that's an additional pool also on QuickSwap with I think 50,000 MIVA in there that I personally provided just for the funsies. And then that's here is still the in the multi-chain thing, but all of that got transferred to Polygon already. So these boxes, which are currently just white, they will have some indicator then later on which chain that all of that is. So that's here is going to have probably a border or something in the Gnosis chain, color, and also show the HoneySwap symbol, so you know that it's on HoneySwap on Gnosis chain. That's also on HoneySwap on the Gnosis chain. That's the whale account on Gnosis chain, untouched. That's on Polygon and in the QuickSwap pool, Polygon in this QuickSwap pool. That's the whale account on the or the expansion account on the on Polygon, or basically all of that. And then the next step, these four, they also split off and also get different colors, because that's the that's then for Optimism, that's the one for Arbitrum, that's for Avalanche, and that's for BNB chain. And those then later on also split up, because there's this part and this part. That's 0.0, I think 2% providing for these superfluid sentinels, and that's provided for the liquidity into this initial liquidity pool. So it's 1%, and that's something that's still in the specific treasury, in the specific whale account on the specific network. Yeah, and all of those, there's going to be a stream into this treasury account, because that's how the project got set up, that 50% go into one pool, 12.5% go into another pool, 12.5% are reserved for the token expansion, and 25% are in the whale account, and they get streamed to a treasury account over 2 years. And everything that's in that treasury account, that's basically free for use for the project to do whatever I want to do with it. And I could sell it, for example, but I never didn't do that so far. So all I did there with whatever is in there is I provided liquidity on symmetric in 2 pools. That's going to need to happen here. And also the 8% of for the scavenger hunt, they will also get in there. So there's the idea is to have down here a days counter that counts up basically like here on the home screen. Oops, okay, maybe I should go back to start. So that these here count up, but obviously a little bit longer, like 5 seconds or so. And depending on which day, the things happen on the different stage. And then when you come close to what's today, then there's also going to be this reserved for scavenger hunt account in there. Yes, and if you hover on them, then you should get the box with all the informations you need. And also there's going to be this stream in here, so that one will get smaller over time, and that one here will get bigger over time. And I think so far, I think we are here-ish. I think that's how it looks now, right now. But here you would have to cut away also, I think quite some parts for the scavenger hunt and for the liquidity on symmetric. But yeah, in the end, that's how it should look like, with chain specific markings, with pool specific markings, with also the information that there are streams from the whale account to the distribution account, which is also in place on each chain. So these elements here, they all should stream then also into these this account, and that one might also split up into different colors. I think I do have a sketch for that at some point too. Maybe it's in an old draft. Yeah. So that's the main idea, to build that one up. And then on the sidebar, maybe show the infos if you hover it or click on it, and then below also the information about the actual streams that go from the whale account to the treasury. And I think that's the thing I had. In here somewhere. See, I didn't note that at some point. yeah, so never mind, but that's also going to be that you can see the streams from the whale to treasury streams then also later on. Also, it should show you at some point how much of that liquidity pool actually represents of the token. So for example, this 50% of the fraction token that got put into the honey swap pool, there aren't 0.5, there aren't 50% left, right? So there's right now, I did some code, I'm just not sure where I dropped that. But I do have it at some point, I think. Just let's see. Okay, maybe it's just a text file I got somewhere else, but the idea is that you can see, here is still owned by the project, so the whale still has these funds, and they get streamed into the treasury, and so right now the project still owns about 20% of the token, and 29% of the tokens that the whale account holds are in LP tokens, which where we can discuss at some point if these LP tokens should get moved to a Gnosis safe, and then the Snapshot DAO has control over these LP tokens to avoid rug pullings or something. But I think if I wanted to rug pull, I would have done it 1.5 years ago, where there were, I think, $40,000 in the LP, the liquidity pool. But don't want to be assholes, right? Yeah, and then basically there are 10% still reserved for the scavenger hunt, and also for the Cello and the mainnet expansion whenever Superfluid is available and Connex Bridge and the Connex router support. Yeah, so much for the explanation. Let's get into it. So I've been thinking that first off, I'm anyways going to have this box here squared, and all the items inside are only percentage parts. So yeah, and it's going to be like the animation doesn't follow any logic itself. It's just time slots with animation delays. That's basically going to happen. Or keyframe animations that have a delay and they don't just run once and stop at the end. So let's see. I would say we have one. I'd say we get I think we should start with the first one. That's 100%. Then, oh no, that's Not, yeah. To view it up. Nah, fuck it. So it's the first thing that's on Gnosis chain, that's in HoneySwap, and that's the first thing that happens. Then we have the do 0 HoneySwap, and that's the whale. Then number 1 is Gnosis chain HoneySwap. Then we have number 2, it's also Gnosis chain HoneySwap. Then we have that's for the expansion. That's number 3. So that's the container in there. But I actually don't want to have this full container. I mean, we can take a look later on if I start wrapping them. But for now, let's make the containers all together, and then we can wrap them later on anyways. So we would have here, we have Gnosis chain, and that's Polygon. And that's the Polygon whale. That would be this one here. Then we have the Polygon quick swap. It's this one here. Then we have the Polygon quick swap again. That's this one here. That's the Miva pool. That's the whale we already have. Then this here is the optimism, and that's whale. Then we have the sushi and sentinel. Okay. 5. And then we're going to need that also for Arbitrum. And so okay, so now we have the containers we need right now. I'm gonna leave off the, yeah, let's put that in there as well. Div, that's the, sure. Yeah, now let's do the treasury later on, because that's going to need the stream animations anyways, and some other stuff. So now we have this all here in place, and now we remove that part, we give that background. Very, very slight white background, just 5% or so, just so that I can see the box here. Oops, I need liquidity. Put that away. So, just whatever, so slightly. So, okay, now we are going to place the elements one by one, and at the end it should be just a the full square box. So we have everything in place. And then in the next step, we animate them so that it splits up again. And then we change the colors accordingly, and the background images and everything. And then we can think about also having some transition animations so that they maybe have some background that's animated or something. We're gonna find it out later on. So we have here the split item. That's the LQ0. And that one is not the first. So that's the first one that should split off, and we might say what's going to be the general thing. So background, we also give that white, but a lot more, so we can still see if others overlap. Then we have this here, position relative, and this here is position absolute, because we're going to position them all separately one by one. Then we're going to hide all of the others we don't want right now. So I just then delete one row at a time, and okay, number 0. Okay, now I have so now only this box here should be visible, and that should happen with 0.5, and that box is top 0 pixels and left 0 pixels, which doesn't tell us anything right now, but we also say that's 50%. So that's our first one. That's exactly 50%. I think I forgot something. Oh no, it's, yeah, maybe. Just to be safe. Okay, so then the next thing we need is the next honey swap. And that one has also width of 50 and a height of 25, and left is 50%. So it should be okay, of course we need to delete this. So it fills up this one here. Then we have the whale, which is number 0. And that one has 50. 50 is also 25% inside the container from the top and left to the 50, so it fills up this one here. Oops, should not fill up this area. So, ta-da! Then we have the way, let's put all those 3 away. Okay, I think I don't really need those because they are anyways always just, yeah, of course they are just 0.0 pixels, so since there's no content in there, they're all stuck here in this corner. 1, 2, 3. Then we have number 3, and 3 is the Polygon whale account. That's going to be interesting, because let's put that a little bit back. Yeah, of course not. So I think we should start with this one here, and that's the 4. Yeah. So that's 4, and that's let's do some calculations. I do have this here somewhere. Polygon story. That's the one I need. So we need to move the whale. Oh, let's get along with the next ones. That's number 6. 6 is just, is that 1%? That's not, that's okay. So 6. This is 6, 9, 12, and 15. So, and left would mean here it's 6. Okay, that's that. Then left 32. Then 88 and 84. Okay, now that's in there. Then we have here the Polygon whale. That's number 3. And that one needs to be 75%. All that into percentage. So, okay, 2, 3, then we have number 4. Okay, so that one should be there, and that one basically as well, but the width isn't. I don't remember how much that was. The whale is more like, let's give them 10%. The first one is left, and the next one is 60% left, and if those are 10 and 10, then it's 20, and that should be good. No. Why? That's the whale. Why is the whale still at? Ah, okay, maybe I need to. No, it's not. Yes. Ah, okay. Okay, let's go. The 4 is 10 and it has 15. The other one is 10 and that's 10, and that one is 15 is 80 is 90. Okay, so we have these 2 down there, and that's going to be just left 50, and that's going to be left 60. So now we're overlapping with one. Why is that 24? What the fuck? Okay, let's calculate that. That one here is 10%. Swell 10%. Then we have here 24, so we are at 44. And then we have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 24, and we're at 100. That's good. Okay, so, but they aren't, they should be only these are just the whales. They're not 20, so it's 1%. Yeah. So that means Q3, 4, 5, then it's 6, so it's 7. It's 10%, and so if 6 is the whale and that one has 10%, and there are 15 left, plus 10% is 85, plus 8, plus 5, 95. So that should be our optimism box, and it's full. And it's probably better if you take a look here, and these 3 we still need to split up as well. So that's again 10, 10 is 85, and then we have 11 and 95 with 5%. Then that one here has 10%, 10%, 85. When the code will get optimized at some point, but right now, just to figure out which direction we're going, let's leave it a little bit more flexible. Okay, so ta-da! Good. And now we're going to animate this. Let's left. So let's and that's going to be left. comparison. Okay, and we can remove that background for now because we don't need that one anymore. So that moves along. Then we set that the LQ2 can top -10. Okay. Then we have the whale basically always stays the same. Then we have Q4. That is '85. And number 5 is currently top to 100. Or better to 105. Then I mean there will be mid steps, so these box alone moves down here and then splits up and then splits up and then splits up. We're going to do that with the transition delays then later on. So then we have here the whale, the polygon whale. That's where they should be at 85, and to the left '70. Okay, then we do have things to see for and 6, 9, 12, and 15. 6, 9, 15. Okay. So and left. Okay, then Arbitrum. It's 9, 10, and 11. So the height should be fine. But maybe okay, left here. So now it would be at 114. So that's 104. That's 114. That's where we want to have that. 14. Then that's going to be 12, 13, 14 with 10 more. So that's 34. Okay. And so now y LQ12 Arbitrum whale is 9, 10, 12. There it is. So okay. So now we can let that split up. And then these 10. Let's increase that. Let's see. And so since we added 3, we have to add 6 to those. And we have that. Do-do-do. Okay, and now we are going to make that completely white, and then when we are in the viewport and the split item is Gnosis chain, we say the background color. Let's catch this one here. Optimism. So, I'm using here the RGBA values because I might want to give some transparency later on, and then I don't have to move that around. Arbitrum, Avalanche, and oops, it's Avalanche, and PNB. This one here. So that's what I'm gonna need, and we also need to add the background to the animation. Background color. So now, I like it. Maybe we should take box shadow. Zero. I think you can also give that the shadow is inside of the box, so it's, I think it's before everything starts the inset, then the now it's inside. It's a bit much. Okay, now we have a small part in there, so it's a little bit more. And now we all of that. Okay, so we only have that one box here. Okay, and it goes together, and then it splits up. Together and splits up. Together and splits up. That's going to stay anyways. There's we have the animation delay. Transition. Delay of 0.2 seconds. So, but for better orientation, we say that's the whale, that's next eye. So it's Viva, that's another whale, that's quick swap, that's a quick swap, and sushi, sentinel, sentinel. Okay. Just 17. Then yeah, I'm gonna group those together later on, but given that that's not looking too bad, I mean, the animation is always 1 second, so it should start everything, then after 1 second, well, let's, you know what, let's count that up. Then we have 2, 3 is the polygon way. So that's 2. Then we have it shouldn't be too long, because then everyone else doesn't really care anymore. Let's say that 3 things, that should be fine. 3 seconds. So, right, we're going here. Yeah, I mean, these need to get wrapped to some point, but well, it's a start. It's a start. We can adapt from here. And these then are logos. I do want to have some liquid plop when they move away. Think about having here another container attached to that has a background image, and only if you place the background in there, then the background image starts. But I'm not too sure how that's going to work, and if I really want to put that much effort into that thing. But yeah, then we would have here the treasury, and the treasury, this one here, that's going to get transform scale, scale 1, and we're going to dial that one down 1 by 1, 3, so that it's at the current value, and at the same time we're going to increase the other one here, so it's clear that it's streaming from one account into the other. And then in between we just place some SVG and we animate the line so it's pulsing a little bit more. That's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly not where I want to be in the end, but it's a start. Yeah, I think I'm gonna finish up for today. It's 2 hours. That was the plan, and I guess next time I'll make the build-up thing, the logos behind, the additional informations that need to be in there, and maybe the hover effects and the additional infos, the animation parts for that, I think. But it's getting somewhere, I would say. The start page, it kind of looks not that bad. It's also already to some extent responsive, but there are obviously still some things that need to be fixed too. And we have here the current status, fraction, where to get to, then here the distribution, support, the NFTs, milestones and roadmap, and the DAO, and maybe some textual part. But I won't write the text. I won't write on stream because that's constant overhaul, and then it's gonna take some time, way too long to do it on stream. All right, I think we're good for today. Next one hopefully on Monday. But yeah, let's see how if I'm still sick on Monday, but so far we're getting some progress. And yeah, so once once that's done, the next thing is to finalize the functionalities on the home screen, and then there are the NFTs, and there are the responsive styles. Well, the responsive styles are going to happen way at the end. So once the start page is fine, I think the next one will be the Gnosis Chain subpage, because that one has the most content in there, and once that's in place, then the others are basically just copy and paste and just disabling stuff and throwing things out. But that should be then very straightforward. And once that's done, the next one will be then the menu here on top. And once that's done, then there's going to be the responsive styles, and then we are fairly good ahead, I would say. I mean, I do need to deploy the faucets and also make the CoinGecko updates and the CoinMarketCap listing things, and reach out to other projects or other chains to see if there's any bust they can make about it. But step by step, we are getting somewhere, I would say. So that's XDAI. Here on Gnosis. HoneySwap. Yep. Okay, then I'll set the stream to ending, and until next time.